G'day and welcome back. In this video I'm going to cover everything that you need to know about tying useful knots as a complete beginner. What we're going to cover is choosing the right rope, choosing the right knot, and different terms that we use when we're tying those knots. Then I'm going to show you 3 easy knots to tie, as well as 3 ways to attach rope to something, and then 3 ways to attach a couple of ropes together. So grab a bit of rope, strap in, and let's get stuck into it. So a good knot in bad rope is a waste of a good knot. Let's take a look at some of the cheaper options first up. These plastic type ropes, they're probably going to slip when you put a knot in it. They're useful though if you don't know knots, because when you're done you can just cut it, chuck it in the bin. But I personally think we could use some less plastic in the environment. I prefer to invest in better quality ropes. Something like 550 paracord is pretty much the standard these days in bushcraft circles. For more heavy duty stuff, I like a kern mantle rope. There's lots of fibres inside and an outer sheath to protect it. All the way up to my climbing ropes that are going to be able to support my body weight if I need to abseil or climb up a cliff or a tree or something. I just want to add in there that just because paracord is rated to 550 pounds doesn't mean that you can swing off it down a cliff, because I've tried it and it doesn't work.
So I would say that was a catastrophic failure. Do not use one strand of 550 paracord to abseil, even in an emergency.
If you tie a knot into a piece of rope, you weaken it significantly, and it's only as strong as the knot you put in it. But it is always going to break at the knot. Use the right tool for the right job. So knots can basically be put into 4 different categories. You've got knots, bends, hitches, and lashings. I'm not going to worry about lashings on this episode. I'll cover that in a future video. So let's concentrate on what is a knot, what is a hitch, and what is a bend. Well, a knot is tied into a piece of rope and it's completely self-supporting, so it doesn't rely on an object to stay intact. A hitch, on the other hand, is tied around an object, but it relies on that object to stay intact. Here I've got a clove hitch, and if I remove that, the rest of the knot falls apart. A bend is used to join 2 pieces of rope together, nice and secure, shouldn't slip. All right, let's get stuck in. I'm going to show you 3 knots, 3 hitches and 3 bends that are easy to tie and, more importantly, easy to remember. All right, so before I get started tying some knots, I thought I'd run through some terms that I'm going to be using while I'm tying them so you can understand what I'm talking about. This is our hank of rope over here. Now, a hank of rope won't tangle when you pull out a piece of rope, and I'll show you how to do that at the end of the video. This part that's just standing here, that's obviously called the standing part of the rope. If I put a bend in the rope like that, we call that a bite. So I'll ask you to grab a bite of rope, and that's what it looks like. Then we're going to talk about a turn, and a turn will come around an object or a piece of rope just like that. If I want a round turn, that's going to come all the way back on itself, so I could tie something over here, for example. Then we've got an underhand loop. Now there's an underhand and an overhand. An underhand loop will have the working part of the rope, so that's this part here, will come underneath the standing part of the rope. An overhand loop is the opposite way, and it has the working part of the rope coming over the top of the standing part. This is our working end, as I've mentioned, and the very, very tippy top, that's called the bitter end. Now, to best describe how we use those terms I've just shown you to tie a knot, we'll tie the simple overhand knot. So if I tie an overhand loop and then feed the working end through that loop, we have the simple overhand knot. Alternatively, if I make an overhand loop and then take a bite of rope through that loop, we have the slipped overhand knot. I can also make the slipped overhand knot using the working end of the rope on my left and tie it in the standing part of the rope. So by forming an overhand loop and feeding a bite of the standing part through that loop, we now have a slipped overhand knot. This is going to come in handy when we tie some other knots later on, so keep those ones in mind, and even though it's a simple overhand, try and learn those slipped overhand knots. The only problem with an overhand knot is when you put a lot of tension on it, it's really hard to get undone. For that reason, I'm going to show you the figure of 8 knot, which is much easier to untie. With the figure 8 knot, as with the overhand knot, we form our overhand loop, but instead of coming through that loop with the working end of our rope, we're going to come all the way around the back to form a turn on that rope, and then come through that loop to form a figure 8. Again, the figure 8 is used to make a variety of other knots, and it's much easier to get undone. You'll notice on the figure of 8 knot there's this 90-degree bend in the rope. By simply breaking the back of that knot, it then becomes loose and we can untie it. If I form a figure of 8 knot in the back of my rope, over here on the end, then come up a little bit and form another figure of 8 knot that's slipped, we now have an effective loop in the end of our knot, and it's locked in by this stopper knot. Easy to untie. If for whatever reason you can't pull that end through, we break the back of the knot. As I showed you before, that'll loosen everything up, and you can pull that slip knot out. Practice those 3 and let me know how you go. Now, a hitch is used to tie a bit of rope to an object. Could be a tree, a post, a ring, a rail. Here's 3 hitches that you can use. If you remember, we tied our slipped overhand using the standing part of our rope. If I have an object like a toggle that I want to put in there, I simply insert that into that bite of rope and tighten it down. We now have a marlin spike hitch. A couple of uses for the marlin spike hitch: if I need a handle, for example, to really put tension on a bit of rope, it's a good way to attach a handle onto your rope. Another use for the marlin spike hitch is if I form that overhand knot and insert a stick. If I have another rope over here and put another marlin spike hitch in, I can now put a number of those in and form a rope ladder. The second hitch I want to show you is the clove hitch. Now, the clove hitch, we simply form a turn around our object and lock that off with a half hitch. And that gives us our clove hitch. What I recommend is that you give yourself a little bit more slack when you form your clove hitch, and put in a second half hitch just to lock that off, and that way that's not going anywhere. If I've got an item like a toggle or a post that I need to insert the clove hitch over, another way to tie it is I can form one overhand loop and a second overhand loop, put that second one behind the first one so that both of our working end and standing end of the rope are in the center of those 2 loops, and then slip that over the top. Gives us our same clove hitch, 2 parallel lines with a crossing loop over the top. And the third hitch I want to show you is the timber hitch. It's best shown around a larger tree or an object like that, but if I come around our object, pass the working end around onto itself so that the standing part of the rope is running freely through that bite. And now I simply add 2 or 3 overhand style knots, and that will pull tight. The tighter you get it, it locks down on that object. The timber hitch is a quick and reliable way to fix a rope
to a fixed object. How we make it is we cross over our standing end and then begin to wrap with at least 3 or 4 wraps and then tighten it up. The rope will cinch on itself and it's easy to undo.
The timber hitch is very easy to undo. Once the tension's off it, the knot falls apart, but it's not a proper hitch in its sense, because if I take it off the object, the knot's still intact, so it's more of a knot than a hitch. So those are your 3 hitches. And finally we have our bends, and remember that a bend is used to join 2 pieces of rope together. The first knot we're going to do is the square knot. Now how we tie a square knot is your left goes over the right and around the back. Then we put the right over the left and join those. You'll see that the 2 ends are both on top on the same side of the knot, and all we've done is created 2 bites that lock together. So the second bend we're going to do is something that's called the sheet bend. We can use the same diameter or different diameter ropes, or we can even tie the sheet bend to a tarp or piece of material, and I'll show you that in a second. But how we tie it, we take the thicker piece of rope, form a bite, making sure our tail is facing upwards. Then we come through that bite with our second piece of rope, around the back and through. That's the sheet bend. If I want to make that even more secure, I come around the back a second time and underneath there, and that's the double sheet bend. And I can tell you that's not going anywhere. If I want to attach a line to a tarp or piece of material, I do the same thing with take the corner, form a bite, come through that bite, around the back, and I much prefer the double sheet bend, so I'm going to come around twice, lock that into place, and now you've got a sheet bend on the tarp. And the third bend I'm going to show you, and the last knot for today, is the fisherman's bend. Now this is a very simple fisherman's bend using the overhand knot that we did before. I'm going to come around that rope, through that loop to tie an overhand knot, then simply turn that around, do the same thing on this end, take our rope, come around through that loop to form an overhand knot. Now those 2 pieces of rope are locked together. If you want to make that just a little bit easier to undo, because as I've said, once you put tension on an overhand knot, it's not going to come undone. So we're going to come over the top as we did before, but this time we're just going to feed a bite of rope through for that slipped overhand knot. Do the same on this end, give ourselves a little bit more slack, come around the rope and just feed a bite of rope through our loop to form a slipped overhand knot. That's still a secure knot. To pull them apart, we simply stretch them out, loosen the knot a little bit, pull it through, and it should come undone. The first technique is to properly hank your paracord or smaller cordage so that it pulls out the center tangle free. Here's how we do that. So for smaller cordage like paracord, I'm going to come across my palm around the back of my thumb. Then I'm going to come around the back of my little finger and around the back of my thumb. This is going to give us a figure 8, and therefore it's going to take the twist out of the rope. For longer paracord, we have our fingers further apart. For smaller pieces like this one, we just bring our fingers closer together. And we come around the back of each finger each time, just like that. When we get close to the end of our rope, we slide that off our little finger and pinch it in the middle. Now we take the tag end of our rope and come over the top. With our next one, we come underneath that one. That locks it all in place. Leave a gap with our thumb and poke that tail end. Block it off like that. Now when we pull on that tail end of the rope, it should all just slide out through the center. If it locks off, just stop, pull a section out. It just means it got wrapped around one of the loops. So that's our basic knot tying for level 1. In level 2, we're going to get into more advanced knots like the bowline or bowline, depending how you want to pronounce it, the alpine butterfly, and a lot more. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.